Hey, it's Saturday morning here, and it's very rare, but my kid's watching some cartoons, and my husband is outside working on a tractor. So I have a few minutes in the craft room to myself. And for a long time now, I wanted to compare the Artesprix Sublimation Markers to the Cricut markers, and I decided what better time than now and with you. So let's see how these compare to each other. Okay, so I have a few things out here, and let me tell you about them. So I'm going to get this open. I don't know if you've ever bought the coasters from Cricut, but I'm telling you, they aren't only theft proof, they're Kamela proof. So just in case you're joining our channel for the first time, I'm Creative Mom Kamela, and this is Creative Mom's Decant. And I'm going to get into this. I should probably continue to say that, things are always fun with me, especially when, I have random ideas, which is exactly what happened today. But I've really been wanting to know this myself for a long time, and I pulled all this stuff out, and then I was like, I bet I'm not the only one that wants to know this. So I also have the Cricut Sublimation Markers. So these are my, I'm going to use one of them. I'm not going to use all of them for this. But these are my Cricut coasters, and I have Cricut Sublimation Markers. And then over here I have my Artesprix markers, which anybody who knows me knows I love the Artesprix markers. This will actually be the first time I've used the Cricut markers. My Artesprix ones I've had for a long time, so I almost don't feel like I'm being fair to them, but they're still working beautifully, so I do. So long lasting, I can say for sure on these I have no idea. So the first thing I'm going to do is I have this pop-in silicone stand that holds them. I'm just going to match some markers. So, and you want to put them upside down. So you store sublimation markers flat like this, and you put them in this before you want to use them and let them sit this way. So I'll definitely be able to tell them apart, but I'm just going to sort to figure out what kind of colors I have that are like. So this one is going to be kind of tricky. It's the red and kind of that maroon. But I think we're going to have plenty of these to do a comparison here. I'm fairly certain that Artesprix has a different yellow, but we'll try both of those. The one from Cricut in the marker looks very neon. And then the last one is going to be kind of a darkish green. So this is going to be, color to colors, but I really want to look for quality to quality. So this is a blank that Artesprix sent me. And so those are my Cricut blank and my Artesprix blank. And then I grabbed some third-party blanks. These are teardrops that can be made into earrings I got off of Amazon. I goofed a couple while practicing, so they're perfect to use for this on the other side. And then this one we've had for a long time. It's one of the first things my kid made, and he knows, and it wasn't great. So we're going to use the back of this too, and we can always flip it over. It's just a coaster. So I'm going to start with this one, and I want to do my comparison with these because this is going to be complete trash. So I have regular copy paper here. That is what you use for sublimation, and pencil doesn't sublimate. So I'm just going to trace my blanks so that I know what size, and I don't have to be perfect. We know this is, well, see, I'm not perfect at all. We know this is going to the trash, so no big deal. All right, so I'm going to do Artesprix at the top of my page always, or at the top of the blank, and then I'll know which is which. So I'm going to grab the orange from Artesprix, and I'm just going to give it a good swap here. And then I'm going to do the orange from, oh, these are fine tip, from Cricut. So I don't hate the fine tip, but that's not going to be for filling in. I want to do colors though. As far as a fine tip, let's just play with this for a second. So maybe they need warmed up, but I'm not a bit, it doesn't write very smooth for me. Let's move into the reds. And the reds, remember I had two Artesprix, so I'm going to give it a stripe. To me, the Artesprix markers work just like regular markers. I'm going to do both these reds. And they go on very smooth. The only thing I will say is that the colors always look different on the paper, and I love using sublimation markers for children, but I will tell you that they really struggle with that. I wish I could remember offhand exactly which is which, but I have to repeatedly convince them that it's correct. But sublimation markers are one of my favorite kid projects just because kids really like to draw, and then to see it heated and solid is just really fun. And I love to talk about how the gases release and things like that, but that's because that's who I am. So I will say this one writes really nice. So maybe it's just that yellow doesn't, this one writes really nice for writing. Artesprix also has a very fine tip black. Let me find, it might have been, here it is, fine. So this is their fine tip. So let's write, so there's Artesprix written with the Artesprix marker, and let's write Cricut with this one. So the Cricuts are a finer tip, and I don't think Artesprix has finer tips yet. So all right, I've got some swaps colored on here. Let's go ahead and tape this, cut this one out, tape it down, and heat up my heat press and start taking a look at the differences. So I'm going to turn my heat press on and get it heated up, and we're just going to tape this, the side you want to sublimate. I am using Artesprix tape, and you'll have to hit subscribe and watch a few more of my sublimation videos over, through February or so, the next month, because I just started using the Artesprix heat tape. I was using Cricut, so you'll have to stay with me, and then I'll let you know which one I like better. Little too soon to tell on that. All right, so I just taped this down, and I didn't go crazy with my taping down because this is not, this is going to go to the trash. So I am going to stick this under my heat press like this and heat it, and let's take a look at what it looks like. Let's see if we can open up our first blank, if it will burn me, and see where our test results are looking. Oh my. Oh, that's so fun. So I'm going to say color-wise, we're, oh, I did orange, and anyway. So let's look at the pattern part, because I didn't quite do these very well. I wasn't paying attention. So let's look at the patterns and how. So these, if you see, let me try to get you a good angle here. So in this yellow, you see a few orange streaks. So I'm going to say the Cricut sublimation markers are not good, at least the fine tip are not good for coloring things in. The Artesprix markers leave no streaks and even coloring, even when I was doing it fast then. But the same thing down here where I used the Artesprix again, it's really, really difficult to see. So the other thing that's very interesting to me, and I've never had this happen on with the Artesprix markers. Remember how I said I always have to tell the kids that you go with the color that's on the pen? Well, with the Cricut markers, I would be very disappointed if I was going for this color, because the very bottom color here is definitely different. So isn't that interesting? So let's do that real quick. I want to look at that even closer. So I'm just going to do some nice color swatches on this. So that's the Cricut one. I'm going to set it to the side. And here is the green Artesprix one. The Artesprix markers just feel better to me when you're putting them on the paper. By a long shot. I can't really explain it, but these are very soft and smooth, and those are not. And it's not just because these are fine and those are not. It's these drag and these pull through. I'm not 100% sure if I am, making sense, but, and you can get a pretty thin line. The Artesprix markers, and they do have the fine tip in the black, but they slant. That tip is really slanty, and so I am getting, very nice fine lines, or you can get the thicker lines. All right, let's go. We didn't grab this yellow, so let's do it as a test over here. They just don't mark on the paper as smooth. I'm not sure that I like them. I think even this yellow is going to be better, and that's the one I was a little concerned about because this looks so much brighter, but we'll see when we heat it. Heating these things does matter. Remember, the colors are, definitely more vibrant after they're heated, and sometimes even, change. Usually, the Artesprix marker, not usually, every single one of the Artesprix markers I've used, the color has come out very true to the top. And I just would not say that this color came out true. I think you can see that on camera, but it's really not. This is more of like a bright blue, and this is more of a maybe you'd say dark blue, but I would say more of a green. And it's not green at all. This is more of it's a pretty color, don't get me wrong. It's one of my favorite colors. But it's a very bright green. I just think that's very deceiving, and that's almost ruined wanting more Cricut Infusible markers for me. As a crafter, I think you'll have to let me know in the comments if you think that's very important. But I think you need to know exactly what color you're going to use. All right, so I'm going to take the fine tip Artesprix marker and go down here, and then I'm going to take the fine tip black marker and kind of squiggle through here. You definitely get the more finer tip squiggles with the Cricut marker. Just not sure I'm a big fan of the coloring. Let's cut this out and go ahead and heat it on the little one. And I'm just going to do some more doodling on this one, and then we'll come back and talk about our results and finish up where we're at. I think we're leaning towards the Artesprix. We'll see what we think in a minute. All right, so this one is cool enough to remove my paper. Probably not to handle yet, but okay. So here's our two comparisons, and they do both look nice. You definitely need the Artesprix markers to blend, and I don't know, you could probably get a whiter infusible ink marker, but I will say that they're not as smooth of a color, so I'm not sure. Yeah, the camera's picking it up. So you see how that is a little darker on the corner here? Where I stopped, you can tell. And with the Artesprix markers, you can't see that anywhere. And back down here with the infusible ink marker, you can hardly see this one. But it's the same thing, you can tell. And I am not a steady pressure person, so that would be something that's important to me. If you needed markers or wanted markers to fit into your Cricut cutting machines, you would need to go with the Cricut Infusible Inks. But I do think you need to strongly watch the colors. Even the red, these are not what I would call true to color. This one, though, is really far off. It's this top color here and this. So the deep teal, I would not call a deep teal when sublimated at all. It is more of a bright teal or a normal teal. It is not deep. And so the Artesprix markers are definitely true to color. I have used, I think, all of them. If not, I'm going to check today and I'm going to order the ones I don't have. So I will link Artesprix's site down below, and I order mine from Craft Chameleon, so I'll link that. And these were blanks from Artesprix. You can get into, they have like blanks of the month and things like that. And you can get blanks like this or even rounder teardrops from Craft Chameleon. The Artesprix markers, I think, have my vote today. They are true to color, which would be very important to me. And I want to be able to make things very smooth. And as far as blending, I'm not seeing too much of a difference in how that all worked out. Both markers blend the same. In my opinion, sublimation markers are hard to blend, but there are people out there who do a fabulous job of blending them. And so they're close to tied, but I think I'm an Artesprix person. So that one definitely wins for me, strictly because of the true to color and the smooth application. So thanks for joining me today. Have a joyful day. Go grab some sublimation markers and let your kids play with them. That's my favorite thing to do with them. Bye-bye.